Hi there, welcome to the I Ching Cafe. My name is Belinda Dubston and it is wonderful that you are here again with me. Thank you for returning, and if you're new to the channel, thank you for being here with us. All right, we are focused on our weekly I Ching forecast for the week commencing the 21st of July 2025. And before we get into what the week is asking us to pay attention to, let us just have a look back to last week. What were we working with? We are working with Hexagram 40, deliverance, okay, finding some relief after a challenging time. 3 changing lines, talking about watching out for the robbers, watching out for catching the foxes, okay, and the beginning of relief coming. And that culminating in Hexagram 55, abundance. So how was your week last week? Where did your mind tune into the relief, okay, the portent of relief coming, and those interesting other changing lines and abundance? Remember that when we work with these hexagrams, it's not necessarily that in the week something lands that is about abundance, but it's the awareness of abundance and opportunity and harvest that we are paying attention to. So if you found that you didn't have the big deal land in that week, right, but that you got an awareness of what was the potential or what the opportunity was in a situation, that is abundance coming to work with us, the harvest energy and deliverance, being shipwrecked, getting through that tough night at sea, finding ourselves in one piece and realizing that relief, some relief of difficulty has come through that deliverance. So if there was anything that came up for you this past week tied to that, please do share a comment. All right, this week, let's get into what is the I Ching asking us to pay attention to. Trust your own life. Each of us have our own processes that we are working through. So when we talk about the I Ching on this channel, it's what we are collectively could focus on that could really help us and support us this week. Perhaps it's a thought form or an idea that pops into our minds. Perhaps it's a situation where suddenly we have a way of dealing with it because the I Ching has given us an insight as to how to work with that flow. When we see the thing in front of us, what would the superior person do in that situation? Okay, so let's get into what is the I Ching asking us to pay attention to this week, the 21st of July. Well, our first hexagram is a returning one of this month. Is hexagram 2, the receptive. Okay, all the lines are earth. This is the mother energy, the holding energy, the receptacle. With this energy, as we experienced it earlier in this month, the path to working with the I Ching comes through being open and receptive and holding the space. Not casting the agenda, leading and pushing to stimulate the idea, to take action, to force an outcome, but to hold this space. Okay, this is a creative element as much as we see that kind of spark and energy in the dragon in hexagram 1, the creative energy. This is the pair, the second part of creative energy. We can't have creation without the male energy and the female energy, because this is the womb, the earth, the soil that holds and brings nutrients to the party. So this week, as we were the week before last, we are tuned into being moms, okay, and holding the space for others, right? Supporting and providing what is needed to the moment, okay? Nurturing, holding, receiving the space, okay? Not farming out in new directions, right? And creating new impetus. The energy of this week is the way we maximize what is happening for us this week as a collective is to hold the space, okay? And to be that earth, to be that container that holds the space for growth of others, of the projects we're involved in, of the people around us. Caring and kindness and holding and nurturing and being present with that motherly energy, or the epitome of motherly energy, as it were, for us to hold that space. Right. This week, like last week, we have 3 changing lines. So you'll find a very similar turnover of energy. We have lots of changing lines. The more we have, the more there's dynamics and things are flowing and the energy is flowing and there's lots to pay attention to. So in the 1st, 4th and 6th position, okay, so 3 changing lines. Let's get into how these lines are shaping our view of this energy of earth. In the first position, all right, you'll see in the text that this line being the arrival, okay, so it's position 1, energy is coming in through the bottom, okay, and this position talks about when you feel frost crunching under your feet, the solid ice is coming. So what it talks about is that when you feel the signs of things coming or some future event coming that you know is coming, when you see that sign, what that means is you can take precautions, because obviously the idea of like solid ice tells you winter. Okay, it gives you an idea of maybe a challenge or a stagnation or some kind of stillness that comes with this idea of everything being frozen over. And when we're walking and we suddenly feel under our feet crunch, 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 first signs of frost, we know that if there's frost, the ice will come. So working with changing line 1 this week, all right, what we're being open to, what we're being a receptacle for, is the information that gives us a sign. Okay, so we're looking for the sign. We're staying open for the sign. We're not making the sign. We're staying open for the sign that gives you a clue about something that's coming down the road. When we see the frost, we feel it crunching under our feet, we know the ice is coming. There's a connection, right? So what the I Ching is asking us to pay attention to is staying open and receptive to where this clue is going to give us an idea of something that is coming down the road. And what that allows us to do is make preparations. Okay, so we are tuned in, we are open, and we are just staying open to the information that comes to us. All right, we are not getting hysterical and trying to fix things unless without knowing what it is we're trying to fix. No, we're waiting for the sound of that crunch under our feet. Remember, the crunch happens because we are walking in our day-to-day life, right? We're walking and then suddenly we feel that crunch. And that tells us, okay, we know what's coming here. This is a sign. I know this. I know what happens next. Okay, I can take precautions. What can we do to mitigate the risk or mitigate or work around what might be coming because you've had a sign? Okay, so stay open. In line 4, when you read the text, it talks about being tied up in a bag. Okay, so this line says there is some challenge here that we are busy working through. And the way that we deal with it is we tie ourselves up in a bag. That means being restrained and cautious. Okay, so as we come across this challenge in our environment, as we're working through the week, okay, we've already got to pay attention to the sound of the crunching frost. Here there's some challenge around us. We'll know what it is when we are in it. And the way that we deal with this challenge is that we are super cautious, okay, reserved and careful, right? Cautious and careful. That's how we deal with challenge and difficulty. We tie ourselves up in a bag, okay? We restrain ourselves from pushing out and creating energy that's not the sign of the time, okay? We are cautious and careful, all right? That is how we deal with the challenge in the week. And it might be a personal challenge, a business challenge, a team challenge, or wider issue of economic difficulty, whatever it is for you at this time. Caution and careful. Okay, that's how we sort out this energy this week. And then in the 6th position, yes, this is the line we had the week before last. We had exactly the same changing line, so it's back to bring us awareness. Do you remember this one? The 2 dragons clashing in the sky. Okay, so when the 6th line tries to be a dragon, tries to become Hexagram 1, the creative, and it comes across Hexagram 1, the creative's dragon. So we have these 2 dragons who are vying for power in the sky, and this almighty kind of clash of dominance. And what happens is both dragons are injured, but no one is victorious. There's no winners here. So what this is warning us about is remembering that this energy is receptive. Stay in the female, stay in the receptive and open, nurturing space. Do not try and dominate a situation that you're involved in. You stay in your female, you stay open, you stay yielding, you stay submissive. Okay, I know these words are difficult for some to deal with. Okay, myself as well. Oh, being submissive, what does that mean? Okay, but it's a positive energy of holding the space. And when we get to line 6, something's going to come to bring us some awareness of where we are trying to dominate, okay, where we are trying to win. And that is contraindicated this week. There's a situation where we need to just be absolutely yielding and supportive and open. Okay, that is how we deal with this energy. And there's something about it, if we can just stay in our female self, right, in that yielding open self, we can mitigate the risk that's in front of us of this conflict that actually gets everyone nowhere. Okay, it's useless. Absolutely a useless fight. Don't try to dominate. Okay, that doesn't mean not being in your power. Okay, so you'll know the situation when it comes up and you'll hear these words and you think, oh, 2 dragons, where you feel that you want to dominate a situation. Just let it ping pong. Okay, is this a situation where I'm trying to be a dragon, where I just need to hold a space? I don't have to give away my power, because being yielding and supportive is a power position, right? All these hexagrams are about aligning us with our ultimate power, with the power of the superior person, okay, in every type of flow of change that we might go through. In this case, our power is through our ability to hold and support, all right, not to try and dominate. 3 interesting changing lines for us to work with as we grapple with what being receptive and open and yielding and supportive and submissive means while still being in our power. Okay, this is the development that we are doing this week. Now, second hexagram, these 3 changing lines transform the first hexagram into a second. You could think of it as maybe the tail part of the week, the outcome of the week. You could see it as a path to victory, a tool we could use. I like that, seeing it as a way of pulling us through those changing lines, pulling us into the new week. What could we do? What could we focus on that'll help us develop and transform and move forward? And it is hexagram 21, biting through. Okay, here we have the open mouth, right? You can imagine the top and the bottom line, the yang lines, are kind of your lips, right? The female lines are your teeth, and there's something in the middle, an obstacle. That yang line there is sitting there, preventing us from biting down, getting the nourishment we need. So what we do when we work with this hexagram, all right, we take vigorous action to get a situation, ourselves, right, a process, back into a place of peace and balance and prosperity. All right, that is what this hexagram is trying to teach us how to do. The way we do it is we bite down vigorously on the obstacle, right? That thing that's in the mouth, you bite it vigorously. We eradicate the problem. And the word eradicate is powerful because it also has this energy of the vigorousness, right? We exorcise the problem, we eradicate it, we smite it. Oh, don't you love the word smite? Okay. And so that is the energy we are bringing. Now you think, okay, hexagram 2, the receptive, open, supportive, and nurturing. And here we have, bite down. Okay, very interesting how these 2 energies will work. What we're also paying attention to this week, besides this open, supportive energy, is where we come across the obstacle. When we identify what it is, we eradicate it. We smite it. We bite down through it. We chew our way through the problem and out. We are vigorous. And perhaps that means also administering some justice. You know, this is a kind of a hexagram where you've got a staff member who's not doing what they should do, or has gone AWOL, or whatever it is, and is a disciplinary proceeding. Right, you smite the issue, deal with it, get it dealt with, put it in front, clear it out, move on. Okay, we administer justice through this hexagram, but we are just and fair and balanced. We don't act in anger, we act in principle. Okay, so you might find that you are needing to put in place some boundaries, say no, deal with people issues, deal with being taken advantage of, or things not happening the way they should, or people not doing what they should. Discipline, right? Justice. This hexagram brings us the energy to do that. Eradicate the problem, smite the problem, get rid of it. Okay, exorcise the demon. An energy of doing that, very vigorous. And so let's see, as we work with this week, how it ties this kind of receptive holding energy as a theme for the week, and this path to victory of then smiting the issue once it comes up. Let's work with that and see what we learn through the process. Well, thank you very much for being here with me. If this was useful, you liked it, please a thumbs up, a share would be great. And of course, if you are new to the channel, you know what to do. Hit the subscribe and the bell button on YouTube, or the follow button on your podcast version. And I look forward to seeing you next week for our last weekly overview for July. Can you believe it? Our time has flown past as we work with the I Ching in our lives. Thank you so much for being here with me.